Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I have here a video of Vladimir Putin that I will play for you, answering a reporter's question. The problem is the reporter did not expect Putin to know things because she either did not expect him to know things or she was dumb enough to not know that this evidence exists, or this at least is a way of providing Putin with a smackdown. So Putin obviously smacks her down with, I don't want to say logic and this. You're gonna watch it and you can make your own assessment. I watched this a long time ago, not a long time ago, but I watched this a few times before. And here she is. This comes from Sky News.
A lot about security guarantees, and now we've seen your proposals. You also say you have no intention of invading Ukraine. So will you guarantee unconditionally that you will not invade Ukraine or any other sovereign country? Or does that depend on how negotiations go? And another question, what is it, do you think, that the West does not understand about Russia or about your intentions? Thank you.
Speaking of the security guarantees and what it will depend upon, or if something will depend upon the negotiations, our actions will not depend on the negotiation. They will depend on the unconditional compliance with the Russian security demands today and in the historical context. In this sense, we have made it clear that any further NATO movement to the east is unacceptable. There is nothing unclear about this. We are not deploying our missiles over at the borders of the US. No. On the other hand, the US is deploying its missiles close to our home, on the porch of our house. So, are we demanding something excessive? We're simply asking them not to deploy their attack systems over at our home. What is so unusual or peculiar about that? So, what would the Americans think if we, for example, decided to come to the border between, say, Canada and the United States or Mexico and simply deploy our missiles over there? Well, did Mexico and the US never have any territorial disputes? What about California? What about Texas? Did you forget about that? But everything seems to have calmed down. Nobody remembers those things, just like the way they remember about Crimea. We try not to remember the situation in Ukraine. Who created that? Who started the crisis? Was it Lenin? Yes, when he declared the Soviet Union in 1922 and then the Constitution of 1924 following his death, was following the principles of Lenin. This is a matter of security, not just history. This is about security. It is not the negotiations that matter. It is the outcome, the result. I've reiterated this many times, and you're well aware that we said not an inch to the east. That was the NATO guarantee in 1990. So what became of that? They fooled us. We've seen 5 waves of NATO expansion. Now they're in Romania and in Poland, and they're deploying the relevant attack systems over there. That's what we're talking about. You should finally understand, we're not threatening anyone. We did not come to the US borders or to the UK borders. No. They came to our borders, and now they're saying that Ukraine will also join NATO and they will deploy their systems there. Or not just NATO, they will simply deploy it on a bilateral basis. They will deploy their military bases and their attack systems. That's what we're talking about. And you keep demanding some guarantees from us. You must give us the guarantees. It is up to you. And you must do this immediately, right now, instead of keep talking about this for decades. And use this small talk and soft talk about the need for guarantees of security for everyone. This is exactly what we mean. We are not threatening anybody. And now to the second part of your question. Could you repeat that, please?
What is it that you think that the West does not understand about
okay.
Russia or about your intentions?
Но знаете что?
Yes, exactly. Well, you know, what we understand, what you understand or what you don't understand, sometimes it seems to me that we live in two different worlds. I was speaking about very obvious things. How can you not understand that? You say you will not expand and then you keep expanding. You say we will have equal guarantees for everyone on a number of international agreements, and then we see there is no equality or no equal security. See, here's the thing. Back in 1918, one of the assistants of Woodrow Wilson, the US president, said that the whole world would feel calmer and safer if today's enormous Russia would be replaced with the states of Siberia and 4 more states in the European part of Russia. That was set in 1918, and in 1991 we separated into 12 separate parts. It seems to me that our partners were not satisfied with that. They think that Russia is a tad too large. Even the European countries have turned themselves into a union of states. They are quite small states with populations of 60 to 80 million people, but even after the dissolution of the Soviet Union, we only had 146 million people, and that is too much for the West. I think that is the only explanation for their constant pressure against us. Back in the 1990s, the Soviet Union did everything it could to build normal relations with the West, with the United States. I will keep saying this, and I will repeat for your viewers and listeners out there from the media that you represent. I didn't quite get that, but that doesn't matter. Our nuclear sites, our military nuclear sites, had experts from the US intelligence authorities. They were going there. That was their job, to visit the Russian military nuclear sites. They spent their whole days over there. And the Russian government had advisors from the CIA working inside of it. What else did you need? Why did you have to support the terrorists in Northern Caucasus and use the terrorist organizations to reach your goals and break down the Russian Federation? This was exactly what you were doing, and as a former director of the FSB, I know that. We were working with the double agents, and they were reporting to us on the tasks of the Western intelligence agencies. Why did you have to do that? You should have done something different, perhaps treat Russia as a possible ally and strengthen trust. But no, instead you tried to keep breaking us up. And then you started the NATO expansion to the east. We were saying, don't do that. You had promised you wouldn't. And they say, where is it put in written form? Nowhere. Well, then F off, and we don't care about your concerns. And every time we kept responding and trying to make obstacles, we were expressing our concerns about that. But they say, no. You can do whatever you want about your concerns. We will do whatever we need. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've witnessed 5 waves of NATO expansion. Why can't they understand? What is unclear? I believe everything is clear. We are thinking about our own security.
All right, well, that was it. You made your own assessment of whatever this guy said over there. I obviously made mine, and he covered a few things over there. And as you could see, he covered the British saying the Russians are too big. The other one, 1991, after the collapse of Soviet Union, the Americans had including intelligence services in the government of Russia as advisors, and they were inspecting nuclear military sites. Then they had the thing in Caucasus that he claims that as the director of FSB, he knows that the Western intelligence were sponsoring the terrorist organizations fighting the Russians over there. Well, things are more complex than this. Obviously, you can have to go in on each subject and go deeper in that, which I did, but I would stay here, 5 hours, talk about it. and obviously I know just a little bit, but I think I know much more than the commoner. But anyway, this is just to make us ask some questions. Why is this guy's telling this? Is it true these guys bring their weapons here? They talk about the collective security, but they ignore our security. They said we're not going to come 1 inch east. They came 5 times. Where is that written? It's a sign nowhere. You fooled us once. You fooled us again. He said we will look for our interest. You, the same as you do, but you ask us to be weasels and wait, and but you do your thing. This is his perspective. Now, in any quarrel, in any verbal argument or verbal fight, you should listen to the other person's concerns, both. And that's how you communicate. And if you really want to try, at least try, to solve the issue, you have to give and take. And I don't think what the Russians were talking about then, that was before the start of the BS over there, was like, oh my God, these guys are just dumbasses, man. I don't know what they're talking about. I think there are concerns, they're relevant concerns, legitimate concerns. And imagine, always turn it the other way around. Put the Russians as being the West and the Americans, or the West being the Russians, and see if the West, do you think, would agree to anything that Russia was and is required to agree to? Russia was pushed in a corner. The Putin and his cabinet and through his foreign minister and so on claimed a lot of times, we are in a corner, and these guys said, you didn't start yet. That's how it seemed to me. They're like, as I think it was Netanyahu, or Ariel Sharon, the prime minister of Israel, one time said, I think it was Netanyahu, about the Palestinians, the Palestinian Authority. And he was talking about Arafat, Yasser Arafat. Well, they never missed an opportunity to miss an opportunity. It's like they had so many opportunities to, according to the Israelis, to come and negotiate and do the right thing, but they never missed those opportunities. They never missed to miss an opportunity. So they, all the time, according to those guys. The same here. It's almost impossible to think that these guys missed always those opportunities. I think they were as a plan. Remember I'm sorry to bring this up here. Not sorry, but maybe you understand what I mean by this. September 1st, 1939, the Nazi Germany invaded Poland. Why? Well, because the Germans were bad. That's how we're supposed to be, knuckleheads. That's the story. Well, if you look, they trying to negotiate Poland with Nazi Germany. On what? On the Danzig corridor, or Gdansk corridor. But according to many historians, one side was really negotiating in bad faith. Why? Because they had guarantees for the other ones. You don't have to agree to anything, because if these guys try to do something, we're going to come and intervene. And that's exactly what happened. It was like a plan. Some historians say, well, the Poles did not have to agree to anything, not even to negotiate. Remember how Danzig belonged to these guys, was taken, given to these guys, pop. And then after that happened, and they said, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. Let's discuss. Yeah. No, yeah. It sounds to me very, very, very similar to that. So anyway, here we have Putin, as I said. You don't have to agree, but look to agree with what he said. But it's very clear what he says. You can say, well, that's one thing what he says. The other thing is what he does. Well, if you use the same logic, you can use the same logic in the Ukrainian side. You can use it Americans, the Brits, unless you again go to the bottom line. And this bottom line that we are supposed to follow and obey is, we are good and they are bad. They start from this. Somehow they are good and these are bad. Not sometimes good, sometimes bad. Always bad, and we are always good. For that, you can go to the scriptures and keep reading. This is just an example. I will continue to make videos with this kind of answers from the source, not interpretations, the source. And you can make up your mind and you can go from there to others. Let me see, is this true? Always verify. Is it true? When someone tells you something, okay, unless that person, you really trust that person. Really. And you trust it by evidence, not because someone else told you, hey, you should trust me or you should trust him. No. Trust is built by a pattern of being trustworthy, telling the truth. You know, doing the right thing. I'm going to talk like Obama. The right thing and change. What is the right thing? But I quote myself. So, you know, and then you verify. Skepticism is the mother of knowledge, of wisdom. Be skeptical. When someone comes and tells you something, wait, is it true? How do you know that? How did you find it out? How did you reach that conclusion? And go from there. You say, well, I don't know if that's true. You tell me this. Let me go and check. And you go and check. You verify. You gain knowledge. And you don't look at one source. Many sources. And then you understand more than this person, or you understand what this person said, and you can evaluate it. If you don't know I mean, like, you know, you speak no French, and someone speaks 1-2 sentences. Oh my God, this guy is fluent in French. That's all he knows, but you don't know that. So unless you know certainly, you can't evaluate and assess something. So if someone tells you something and you don't know, it's nothing wrong to say, I don't know anything about it, but I can't agree with you because I don't know. Let me find out. Let me, educate myself. Let me go and read, and then I'm going to come and either say, yes, you are right about it. Let's talk about it further. Or, no, you were wrong. Or, hey, I have some questions. Give me some details. How did you reach this conclusion? Because maybe that person has more information that you could find, or a different perspective that you can't find. Anyway, thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.